Happy Sabbath, everyone, and nice to meet you again this Sabbath. This morning's reading is from Philippians 2, chapter 2, verse 9, 11. Therefore God also has highly exalted him and given him the name which is above every name, and that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow, of those in heaven and those on earth, and of those under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Amen. For our opening song, let us all turn to SDA Hymnal 93 and Burmese Church Hymnal 19.
Good morning. It's nice to be in church this morning. I haven't been to Sabbath school for a long time, so I'm very happy to be able to come and enjoy Sabbath school again. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. We thank thee for this beautiful Sabbath morning. We thank thee for this beautiful Sabbath day. And we thank thee for bringing us together to worship thee in prayer and in studying thy word. We thank thee, dear Lord, for the many, many blessings that you have bestowed on each and every one of us. We thank you that we can come together and have Christian fellowship. Bless each and every one of us, dear Lord, as we pray. For we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Happy Sabbath. The story comes today from the country of Belize. Anybody know where Belize is? Okay, it's in Central America. And I'm sure we all know where USA is, and we know where Mexico is, just south of USA. And Belize is the next country down. You've got Guatemala and Belize, just south of Mexico. The story today is entitled Britain's Queen and Heaven's King. Belize is still a British territory. So although it has its own government, the Queen is still the head of state for Belize. So that's why it refers to the story as Britain's Queen and Heaven's King. The story is about a woman named Letitia. She's 60 years old now. But she tells the story of when she was a young girl of about 17. And she moved from her home in Guatemala to Belize to stay with her relatives. She was very excited when she got the news that she was going to move to Guatemala because her family were very strict. Although they were Sunday keeping, they were very, very strict in terms of the behavior of their children. So she felt that moving to Guatemala, being away from her family, would be a great opportunity for her to be free and to do what she wanted to do. So as soon as she arrived in Guatemala, she started to go to dances and parties, and she felt free, but she worried almost every day, what will happen to me if I die tonight? So she had that worry that maybe her behavior is not good and maybe she wouldn't be ready to go to heaven. After some time, a few Adventists started visiting her relatives' home and giving them Bible studies. She didn't attend the Bible studies, but she used to listen to the discussion from her room. And during the discussion, she thought to herself, that's not what the Bible teaches. They're not teaching the correct thing. And one evening, as they were reading from the book of Acts and talking about the gift of tongues, Letitia burst out of her room, and she said to them, but that's not correct what you're teaching about tongues, because she had been brought up in a church which believed that speaking in tongues could not be understood. But what they were teaching from the book of Acts is that when people spoke in tongues, everybody could understand in their own language, so it was actually speaking in other languages. But during the discussion, she took more interest and she began to study the Bible with the Adventists. And then, after some time, she attended the church and she decided to get baptized. But her baptism was also quite a struggle because her relatives didn't want her to get baptized. They had said that the Adventist church was a cult, and they told her, if you ever decide to get baptized, forget that you have a family here. You'll no longer be welcome in this house. So on the day when she was supposed to get baptized, she didn't turn up. She went instead to a party and to go dancing. But later on, she felt that the Lord wasn't letting her go. She felt really called to the church. And so she went back to the church and she said that she wanted to be baptized. The pastor asked her, are you sure? Because I think the last time she hadn't turned up for her baptism. But she said she was sure. And from that moment until now, she hasn't regretted her decision. She feels that it was the right choice that she had made. And she praises God for giving her that second chance. Now her relatives were furious, and they tried to pressure her to renounce her faith by putting pork or lard in the food so that she couldn't eat it. And for weeks, she didn't eat a full meal. She just had biscuits and milk. But fortunately, on Sabbath, the church members used to invite her to visit them, and used to give her a good lunch. So she was getting that kind of fellowship and support from the church. And she says that this is one thing that she learned, is that when there are new members to the church, it's always important to open your door to them, because you don't know what is happening in their lives and the struggles that they're going through as they make the changes and become Adventists. So after some time, Letitia returned to her mother in Guatemala. And even that move, she says, was blessed by God, because after she arrived, she met her future husband and they were married. Letitia went on to become a nurse and to plant 3 churches in Guatemala. So just to recap, she was baptized when she was 17 years old and then got married a couple of years later. And then after becoming a nurse, she became active in the church. And with her husband have led about 1,000 people to baptism. So she's had a tremendous faith and tremendous work for God. Letitia's husband has since passed away, but she remains an active 60-year-old in the church member in Belize, where she now lives. So she's living back in Belize now. In 2016, Britain's Queen Elizabeth II named her a member of the most excellent order of the British Empire in recognition of her community service. Somebody submitted my name, Letitia said modestly, but really what inspires me to move forward is not the awards of people. I always imagine that God is saying, go do this for me. We are His servants. He says, do it. I want to hear Him say one day, well done, good and faithful servant. I know that God called me for a purpose, she said. It has been 43 years since I was called to the church, and His love grows deeper and deeper every day. Belize received part of the 2015 13 Sabbath offering to build a campground for evangelistic meetings and church conferences. Thank you for supporting Belize and the other countries in the Inter-American Division with your mission offering.
Thank you very much, Derek, for your mission news. Now to close our program and for everyone, for the prayer for a mission and before we disperse for our lesson study, may I call upon Pastor Gavin Jones to offer the closing prayer.
Our Father in heaven, we thank you for bringing us all together, to have fellowship together, to share about the mission work outside of your mouth, and pray for each other. We thank you for the special Sabbath and these privileges. And we thank you for being with us during the Sabbath school service and bringing all of your way. And Lord, we give the Sabbath school discussion into your hands. Please bless this program and use it for your glory, Lord. May we ever come together and learn about you and discuss more about you, Lord, and draw us closer to you. And may there be a change Sabbath school service that will bring glory to your name. We thank you for sharing our prayer. Because we pray in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Our program is concluded. May God bless each one of you all.